Yep.
And I have a, what do you call it, perpetual calendar, what, is that the right name? Where it's like every year. It's, you know, I have a calendar and every day, so hang on, I want to read today's because it actually went with my talk. And I flip the calendar, I go, there are no mistakes. Okay, camera, let's see. Okay, so April 3rd, your soul, that inner, quiet, empty space, is yours to consult. It will always guide you in your right direction. Isn't that beautiful? And what kind of came to me today is, you know, these guys, EJ, George, Sudama, have followed your soul's purpose. So I didn't tell them they're going to do it. Come on up here. So I'm going to have George, come on, Sudama. I want you guys to talk a little bit about, because obviously, do you think they have followed their soul's path?
Mm-hmm.
You think?
Yep.
Looks like it, right?
Yep.
So I wanted to just have you guys just share a little bit. So especially, you know, George, you've shared a little bit, but I've been curious. I was thinking about this morning, so here's what came through. What started you in this path as a musician? I mean, did you start when you were a little kid?
Yeah.
Okay, so share a little bit about that.
It's
How
on.
did you know? Yeah, it's on.
Well, I mean, I was so little that I can't remember, but
Oh, really?
yeah. I mean, I know what, there was a piano in my house. My father loved music, my mother loved music.
Uh-huh.
Neither of them were musicians. But for some reason, my mother thought it would be good to have a piano in the house.
Wow.
Even though we weren't taking lessons or anything like that. So I was a little toddler crawling around, and there was a piano. And I used to crawl up, and my mother tells me this, I don't remember, but I used to crawl up on the piano and just was attracted to it. And would start playing and start,
That's incredible.
you know, and I wasn't playing Beethoven or Mozart.
No, no.
But I was playing things that I heard, trying to pick out melodies,
Uh-huh,
and I would do it whenever I could. So I was attracted to it from the very beginning, and I started taking lessons early and asked for lessons actually, but most kids don't.
Yeah, most kids
But-
don't. I mean, that's
But I
unique.
did. I wanted to learn how to play.
Yeah.
So you know, I wasn't at the very beginning, although it wasn't. It was a circuitous path getting to where I ended up doing it for my life, because it wasn't the preferred path for me, for my family.
Okay, so wait a minute. That's exactly the thing. It's a lot of time the soul, it's not the preferred path. It's like it takes you to a place where it's like, ah. So where was the preferred path? You know, when
Well,
you say that.
preferred. My mother wanted me to be a doctor.
Of course, right? Of course.
Yeah, so I was supposed to go to medical school, but I just was not drawn to that.
No.
And so I didn't know it, but since it really was not approved by the family to be
Right.
a musician, it was difficult for me to actually come to that point. And it wasn't really till my mid-20s that I kind of woke up one day and said, what do I, you know, I was kind of thrashing around, what am I going to do with my life? Because I hadn't pursued that path to go to grad school or medical school or something like that.
Right.
And, you know, it seems to me from this perspective that it was just sort of this thing, what do I love? I love music. What have I done all my life more than anything else? I love music. I love to play music.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, I'm going to be a musician.
Yeah.
You know, and I already was pretty far advanced from having taken lessons for many years. But then I started really working on it. And then I met a woman who was actually a performer and musician. And
Uh-huh.
we started playing together, and she started getting the path to play and do some gigs, and it just went from there.
And then, okay, so you were playing the piano. Did you sing originally?
I always sang, but
Okay.
not the main thing was always playing the piano. I always liked to sing. My dad liked to sing. He had a great voice. And he was a whistler. He was a great whistler. Aren't too many whistlers around anymore, are there?
No,
Does
except
anybody
where's
whistle too?
Denise? Denise can whistle. There you
Yeah,
go.
you
I
do.
know, right? You whistle? You a good whistler? Okay, she can whistle.
Yeah.
See?
We should have a whistling convention.
That's right. I know, it's great.
And,
That's awesome, because you know, okay, so for me, if you hadn't taken this path, we would have all missed out on his gorgeous talent, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times what happens, and people say this, is that the family, the friends, will not support you on your soul's path.
Right.
So you were not supported on your path.
No, not explicitly, not that they didn't enjoy it. And love it, but there's always a subtext like, when are you going to medical school, kid?
Right, right, exactly. Yeah, so that's great. No, because as I was, thinking about my talk title today, I really thought about you, and we're going to have to come up in a few minutes too, but we'll have Sudama definitely talk about it. But yeah, thank you so much. Was that great to hear?
Yeah.
Right? Yay! Thank you. Okay, I'm going to pass the baton. Thank you, darling. I'm, for one, glad that you followed your soul's path. Okay, so Sudama, here's my question for you. So Sudama, you started out, I don't know what. So tell me originally, you were a little guy. You have like MBAs in...
Okay, my parents were State Department. So I grew up in Lebanon, Yemen, Greece.
Oh my
Chile.
gosh, okay.
So I'm this global, confused dude coming back to America.
Right.
Who am I? How am I going to fit in? Now I'm nobody. Because when you're abroad, you're like an ambassador. Everyone's like, oh, you're American, your name is Kennedy, whoa. They trip out. And then you come back and you're like, there's 300 million Americans and you're just another person, right? So that's kind of a shock.
Yeah.
I think for me, it wasn't so clear to have a particular soul, one unidirectional, because I'm not just a musician, I do
No, I
a lot
know,
of
that's
different
why
things.
I'm saying.
That's why it was especially confusing.
Yeah.
I wound up at Princeton as a creative writing major. And that's really confusing to come out of college as a creative writing major because everyone's making money and you're not. Because you're a poet wondering like, what am I going to do now? So I think what happened was I was listening to myself, but I was being overly influenced by, like you're saying, friends, parents, like, oh no, you can't do that, you never survive doing that. So I went to India, wound up with the gurus, and that took me into the depth.
And what age were you when you did that?
Well, I started meditating at 14.
Whoa!
Through I was at Exeter Academy, the TM people came and taught me in my math classroom at night. It was great.
Oh my gosh, isn't that right? That's
So
fabulous.
I was already doing deep meditation at 14, and that took me out of a lot of the normal pathways.
Right.
Because none of this stuff was resonating. It's like,
Right.
all these people want to make money, well that's fine, but so, like, isn't there any artistic direction here?
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
So, when I was at Princeton, originally class of 79, it was full of artists.
Right.
185 Nassau Street was just blooming with artistic energy.
Uh-huh.
Then Reagan came in. My dad was a hostage in Iran, and I took 5 years off. And so when I came back in 83, 84 at Princeton, totally different place. 50% of the people were applying for corporate Boston internships. It was all money at that point. The 80s kicked in.
Right, Reaganomics.
And all my friends at the creative writing department were either gone, or the percentage on who was doing that was just down to almost nothing.
Wow,
And
that's incredible.
so that was difficult in the 80s for me because like it seems like the whole world has gone against creativity all of a sudden, or at least a lot of folks are going another direction. So that took me to India to figure out, following, reading Ram Dass, and I just had a natural inclination for mysticism. Growing up in Lebanon, I was sort of influenced by lots of the call of the minarets every morning. It's very mystical in Arabic lands. In certain ways, maybe they're not always so mystical, but there's this feeling. And, so I think what happened was I taught English in Japan, I was in India 5 times.
Wow.
But when you're in city yoga, there's not really like a path to be, unless you want to be a monk and a swami.
Right.
Not a lot of jobs for spiritual people. Unless you want to be a minister. And I wasn't in the Christian mode at that point. I absorbed that in different ways. So then what happened was I went to graduate school at UCSB in religious studies.
Oh.
And that took me really deep into the academics of it. And the deeper I went into the academics of it, the more I felt like, what am I doing?
Right.
It was like, it was so in my head. I rebelled and I left. decided I don't know if I could be a full-time musician, but I'm going to start that way. I'm going to try and see where that goes.
Right.
And it's been a learning experience ever since. I still don't really consider myself a professional musician like these guys, because they're full-time. But I do music in different ways, right? For healing.
Right.
And then the creativity, I think what it is my study has always been the study of creativity. And what's going on in that? Like, what is that? That was really my focus at Princeton, and you could say it still is. I'm always helping people find their creative energy in some way, or tap into something that they've gotten routinized out of.
Well,
It's
so
kind of like
what
that.
you're really doing is you're having them follow their soul's path.
Yeah.
You know, because we get told, make money, do this, do that, and we don't follow, you know, the esoteric paths or follow what we, you know.
Well, the one thing I totally learned, surviving, being creative and healing, is that the universe does support it.
Oh, yes.
That I don't know how many months I've come down to like 14 cents when all the checks that are paid out and come in. It's always just a little bit above, but it's always above.
Right.
Somehow the universe figures out a way
Of
to
course.
make sure you have that last dollar. Look what I found in my guitar.
I know, right? Where's Mel? Oh, he already left. I know. Mel gifted you.
Okay, what's really cool about this?
Yeah.
This dude in here is my great-great-great-great-grandfather.
Oh my gosh.
Robert Livingston wrote the Declaration with Thomas Jefferson. Didn't sign it because he was with the New York delegation and they were confused, or they were unsure about this revolution thing because there was too much to lose in New York. The British came.
Yeah.
But his brother Philip the Signer signed it. Robert financed Robert Fulton Steamboat.
Mike.
And bought the Louisiana territories.
Oh my gosh.
Biggest real estate coup ever. Yay, great. Thank you for that.
That is so awesome. How perfect is that, right? That is so great. Well, you spoke to a couple of things, and you know, it's that, yes, you were raised in that mystical country, which is also, it's kind of like the yin and yang of, you're mystical, and then I'm going to kill you and cut off your head. But anyway.
I saw someone's head get cut off.
Yeah, I bet. And stoned to death, too, you know.
I didn't see that, but I saw that first time.
Yeah, it's really kind of crazy. But as I was thinking about this, you know, I have a guest house in the back. That's where my beloved Russ lived. And as I'm going through the house, you know, people go, why'd you hire somebody? I go, no. My soul is wanting me to do this and to be present in this place. So Russ has come in 2 or 3 times. I was cleaning the windows and he took the paper towels. I don't know where they are, seriously. And I go, come on, man, stop it. And so I don't know where they went to, but he took them. He wanted me to make sure he knew I was there. Then as I'm cleaning, and then he slammed the door several times on me. So I'm not scared of it, but I know his spirit's there, and he's just wanting to be acknowledged, which is kind of cool. The other thing that happens is that the opportunity to go within and to really delve into my soul and to delve into what's going on with me as I'm doing this work and cleaning up this place and, you know, really making it beautiful, because our homes are our consciousness, you know that, yes? So our homes and how we have them, and his sister said something to me, because I tend to be a little bit of a pack rat and I love things, okay? I'm not a hoarder, but I'm a pack rat. And I love things, and so I was looking around my house going, okay, you can love things, but let it go, baby. Because Russ was exactly, you know, 10 times what I am. And I'm cleaning out, going, dear God, don't do this to your daughter. Please don't, you know, please start to be conscious, think about what you're doing, and allow yourself to just release, and Russ beautifully is teaching me how to release through going through his house and releasing out things and being in beauty and connecting with myself. You know, it's, you guys started this way and I started, I remember back in school, you go, I always wanted to be, I always had a mic. So when I was playing with my Barbie dolls, I had a mic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so I would go in the backyard. So think about this. This is what I'm telling you. This is what I want. I wanted you guys to share. We'll have EJ share too. And I wanted you to look at your life. Are you doing what your soul, and it's not the path that necessarily is the path that everybody will say, yeah, George, go play piano. That's an awesome thing, you know, be a doctor. And he's going, ah! And so if we don't follow the soul's path, there's a lot of pain involved. And there's a lot of pain that we experience. Conversely, when we follow the soul's path and we allow it to have great adventures in the world, then we are lifted into an exalted state. It's quite beautiful because it takes us into that depth, right guys? I mean, I'm just saying for all of you. And it's amazing. So as I'm this little kid, I must have been 8 years old or something with my mic, with my Barbie dolls, and I'm giving them a talk. And I'm thinking, you know, that's really interesting. You know, and years later, I didn't become a minister until years later. And, you know, I'm speaking and I'm going to be an actress. And I go, well, minister's pretty close. Anyway, so it's fascinating. And then I got into, and I was highly introverted. So you got to understand, it's weird for this introverted kid that I wouldn't even look at people or talk to anybody. Now get that. All right, because here I am now, right? La, 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 la. But right now, I think back on that, and I did not talk to anybody. I didn't have any friends. I was painfully shy. But I get into speech class. Oh, wow, did that fire up my soul? And when I got in speech class, I opened and I loved it, and that was my soul's path. So I got into sales and I did all that, and the rest is history, and I ended up here. But the thing is, when we follow our soul's guidance, when we follow that, we allow ourselves to be revealed into the more of life, and that's really what it's about. And so as I'm cleaning Russ's place, and I'm going to be able to rent it out for a lot more than it was, because obviously he was in there for 17 years, and I think I raised his rent twice. So anyway, it's definitely, you know, time for a change. But I was as I'm cleaning, I'm going, oh wow. So you want me to expand into something more and do something even more. Because I went to, as you all know, I went to see John of God in Brazil, and I went into a dark night of the soul, or I went into a really bad funk and depression. And as I'm now coming out of it, thank you, Russ, for making our transition and forcing me to clean your house. But anyway, not forcing me, but, you know, guiding me into it. I'm feeling that there's something that's birthing itself. And I want you to know, when there's major transitions in your life, that there's something seeking to birth itself through you. And as you allow that to happen, I know people have had some transformational things, whether it's an illness, whether it's losing somebody, maybe a shift in your life. So Roxy, you're going to laugh. It's not funny, but it was funny. She goes, oh, Rev, I saw on your chart. You're going to come up and talk about my chart next Sunday on my birthday. Okay. You're going to be my Q&A, baby. Okay. So anyway, she says that I was going to lose somebody major in my life. She thought it was art. Okay? And she said, oh, I didn't want to say anything, Rev. And I go, well, it was a man that I lived with. Okay? So I said, that was pretty darn close. She was close, right? She was close, so what can I tell you? But, yeah, and between Dr. Hahn and then Russ and, you know, enough. Okay, enough, just for now. I mean, you can make your transition if you want to, but please, you know, can you wait a couple months? Okay, the other thing I want you to be aware of, I had a friend that worked at Forest Lawn selling mortuary property or cremation, whatever they do there. And so she said, you know, I lost a friend, and this was in high school. A young friend of mine was in a traffic accident. He was killed. And I was crying. She says, let me take you to Forest Lawn. Because they have a beautiful, I think this is the one in Glendale. And they have a beautiful building where they have the Last Supper painting. You know, it's really quite lovely, and you can go and reflect. But she said, I want you to walk around the cemetery with me. I go, why? She said, I want you to notice something. And as I'm walking around the cemetery, I noticed that people made their transitions either a month before their birthday or a month after. And that was probably 90% of the people. Yeah, so not that you're going to go walking around going, I'm doing a survey, but it's really fascinating because you birthed into this world and you're going back out. It's like, okay, it's time. Okay, it's time to go back home. I'm coming into the earth, now I'm going back home. And it was interesting, my daughter, when Russ made his transition on Easter Sunday, my daughter was doing an in vitro process on Monday. So she said, God, I sure hope it works, Mom. And I go, well, Russ left to create a place for that baby. So you better know that it is good and it works. But I wanted to share a little bit about a gal that wrote that book, Your Soul Seeking Adventure. And I couldn't believe I typed it in and I found it. And her whole thing was a lot like what you guys are saying. That she's going along in her life and she's depressed and she's having a hard time and I don't know what I'm going to do. And then as she goes into a psychiatrist's office, she realizes that and walking out with some depression medication, her soul goes, oh, no, 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 no. Do not do that because it's going to stifle your creativity and it's going to stifle and squash your soul's purpose. And she intuitively knew that and threw the pills away. She started writing a blog and then she got accepted to, I'm trying to think of the magazine because I read it, it's at 4 in the morning. She got accepted, into one of the Chicken Soup for the Soul books, and she was accepted and going, yes. So what the soul will do when you're on the right path, I know Carol's going, yeah, is that it will give you a big yes. And then as she started doing that, her blog became more popular. She wrote a book, and then she wrote the second book, and the first one was about being happy, and then the second book was about, it's about, hey, having your soul have a great adventure. And so today, what I wanted to just say to you, because my soul's been going, there's something coming, baby. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. The soul knows what it is, but I don't know what it is. And just be awake and aware of what it is trying to tell you. Of what, because we were talking about this in class on Tuesday, right? And we were saying, and this is a good question for a scholar. So what's the difference between your high self and the soul? Is it the same? What do you think, Sudama? Just a question, throw it out there.
I would say it depends on what tattva you're talking about. And what that means is, it does seem to be as you go towards the source, that the source is a collective reality.
Right.
But as it sort of incarnates closer to stuffness,
right,
it branches out into gazillions of points. And I would say the souls are more of those that are of the larger thing. And you can go direct to the larger identification.
Right.
And ultimately the two are the same, but I think it's like waves and particles. They're both the same thing. It just depends on how you're looking at it in a given moment.
Okay, yeah, that's good, because we were like, we weren't sure. But I was, how many of you watched Oprah, right? So I just thought this was interesting. As I couldn't sleep, I figured, hey, what the hey. So anyway, this is one of the questions on Soul Sunday. So she has several people, and I wanted to share this, and then I'm going to have EJ come up and share his little experience, because I don't know. I didn't know this about you. I wanted to learn, my brothers, okay? Because I didn't know. And I don't even know about EJ, because he doesn't talk to me about it, because I didn't ask him. Okay, what is the soul? This is Gary Zukav, who wrote The Seed of Soul. The soul is that part of you that existed before you were born and that will exist after you die. It's the highest, most noble part of yourself that you can reach for. Is that cool? Okay, so here's Ayana Van Sant. The soul, I believe, is the fingerprint of God that becomes a physical body. I believe it's the fingerprint. It's unique to everybody. So you're a unique fingerprint, okay? Remember that. You're a nice little unique fingerprint. Deepak Chopra, the soul is the core of your being. It is eternal. It doesn't exist in time or space. It's a field of infinite possibilities, infinite creativity. It's your internal reference point with which you should always be in touch. And when Reaganomics happened and all that, it was all head, outer, 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 and people not connecting to the inner. You know, we had some other people that were trying to get us to do that here, but he was not one of them. Devon Franklin, the soul is the spirit. So he says it's the spirit. It is the connecting line to God. I believe the soul is where the Holy Spirit resides. I believe that it is literally, you know, when you pick up the phone and then you have your 4G network, the soul is the 4G network right to heaven to me. And I'll read a couple more. Daniel Pink. The soul is, I think, our capacity to see that our lives are about something more than simply the day-to-day, and that we're here for a purpose. It could be connected to religion or not, but that there is a purpose of your being here. We all know that, yes? There's a purpose for your being here. And Debbie Ford, who is a beautiful author. To me, the soul is the part of us that never dies. It's who we are at our core, and it carries all the messages and the lessons that we've learned in the past, and will carry all the lessons and the messages that we will carry into the future. And then a couple more. Oh, I love this one from Marianne Williamson. For me, it's the truth of who we are. The light, the love, which is within us, goes by different names, but the truth of us. Michelangelo said when he got a statue that he would go to the quarry and get a big piece of marble, and the way he had managed it, God had already created the statue, and his job was just to get rid of the excess marble. So that's what we're like. Inside is the being that God has already created. Some call it the Christ, the Buddha mind, the Shekinah, the light, the soul. And our job is to get rid of this excess, useless fear, thought forms of the world that actually hide the light of the soul. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, and the last one I'm going to read is from Jean Houston. Y'all know who she is. She's beautiful. I believe that the soul is the essence of who and what we are. I personally believe that it transcends our leaving this mortal coil. And I think it comes with codes and possibilities and the next layers of who and what we may yet be. It is often a pain in the neck because it says, wake up! It's time to wake up. Don't go to sleep. I think it's also the lure of our becoming. That's what I think the soul is. And there you have it from Soul Sunday from Oprah. So I'm going to have Ije come up and we'll close out with this, but I wanted to, because this came so strongly for me to talk to all three of you. As I'm going to write out my talk and I go, and the Spirit goes, nope, got to talk to the boys. Okay. And we're there. So Ije, so interesting because I watch, and I got to say, I feel so blessed to have you guys, you know, on this path with me. And there's no mistake. I think we're a soul group. We're all the soul group here. If we're here and we're at the center of the heart and we're here consistently, we're in a soul group together. And we're here to support each other. So you guys are just, you know, my brothers. Yeah. So, you know, watching Ije, watching him, and he's doing all this thing. You know, you watch him, right? And he's cueing George, and then when he's got somebody who doesn't know what the hell they're doing, he's trying to get them to do that, be a little bit better. You know, have you noticed that? Okay, and he's just patient, and he does it. So tell us a little bit, when you were a little boy, did you have any thought? Were you going to play the drums and do all this?
Yeah. When I was a little boy, I was very happy. I was a very happy little boy.
Aw.
And there was a piano in my parents' house, and I got up and started playing on it, picking out little melodies, just like George.
Wow.
And my brother played saxophone in elementary school, and I started playing trumpet and went through the brasses in my junior high school. I was finished with the brass in high school. I started playing French horn, actually, so in high school I finished. And then the bass player, I was playing trumpet in a garage band, you know, with my friends at school. And then the bass player went away to college, and I thought, I can do that. And so I started playing the bass, and that opened up my voice because I started singing when I was younger too. And so I started singing and playing bass guitar. And I'd been playing my lap for years and years and years, and eventually somebody gave me a conga drum. And so maybe 7, 8 years ago, I was given a kick drum and drum set. So I started playing
7
drums.
or 8 years ago?
Yeah.
What?
That's all when I got up here? That's it? You played like that?
Yeah, I was playing percussion when you first came, but then I had, I started playing drums.
Did you all know that?
No.
Okay, you did. Well, yeah, Sudama knew that. But wait,
Yeah,
what
okay,
I love,
so-
what I love is when you drop the stick and he's still playing. It's good. No, that's a great
I
skill.
drop things every now and then.
Well, no. I mean, that's cool that you're that much of a pro. You can get it, keep playing.
DJ, what did you play when Pat King was here?
I sang.
You didn't play,
I never
yeah,
sang.
really?
I didn't
Okay.
play.
You
George
didn't
played.
play. Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
George played, yeah. I
Wow.
may have played hand percussion or something like that.
That's incredible.
I know.
I did not know that. That's great. Okay, keep going.
Well, yeah. Well, okay. When I was going through all this process, I come from a pretty middle-class family, and it's like, okay, we want you to be happy, but remember you gotta eat.
Here we go again,
So
right?
it was the same process,
Yeah.
But they were very supportive of my music, my parents, but they were a little worried too. And I got to a certain place when I was in college, where I was doing some performing with some, professional acts in the San Francisco Bay Area. I came home from a gig one night, and I was really tired, and I got out of my car, my equipment was in the car, and my girlfriend was in a kind of a not so great neighborhood. And I went over halfway across the street, and something said to me in a voice with reverb, somebody's gonna steal that stuff tonight.
Ooh.
Wow.
And I looked at my car, and I looked at my body, and I looked at the stairs, and I said, nah. And I went upstairs, and the next morning the stuff was gone.
Of course.
Stolen. So that, and then 2 years went by. I had to get a job. I started appraising real estate and get another base. I dropped out of school, and 2 years went by appraising real estate, and I can't do this the rest of my life. This is not what God.
Dear God.
What is life? What is this? What is this?
Yes.
And that voice came back. Well, it's like this. The smaller an object is, there more of that object there has to be to occupy the same space. Everything that we know of is made of atoms. Atoms are made of electrons, neutrons, protons, and those electrons and protons are